For this panel, we curated with a deep intent to highlight how the usage of AI is exploding from chatbot to computer vision, from smart cities to predictive manufacturing. Everywhere, the usage of AI is exploding, and we can see it ourselves in our day-to-day lives as well. From consumer experiences to government apps to enterprises to each and everything, the usage of AI is exploding very, very rapidly. So this is how we thought, and because of this, the demand for cloud infrastructure is also expected to increase very tremendously, and this is the heart of our digital transformation. Anything is moving towards efficiency, then the world and the capital flows towards it, right? So this trend is becoming very much inevitable, and AI-ready data centers are the need of the hour. And to, to enable this transition and digital transformation, we will require power. AI data centers are the guzzlers of power, right? So we will have that kind of a power infrastructure which would be required to support this digital transformation. So now smart grids, post the energy transition, smart grids and the requirement of leading to the requirement of huge, massive opportunity of BESS for uninterrupted power supply would be the need. Because when you do Google search and when you do Chat GPT search, the power consumption is 6 to 7 times more. And now we are consuming megawatts consumption in very, very short span of time. So our power infrastructure was not built in a way that had to, can use this kind of a power demand so massively. So we'll require an energy architecture as well. So why not have a panel with the experts who will voice their opinions on how the system is getting built up from AI to the power enablers. So let's welcome our panelists.
Thank you, Gunjan. May I now invite our visionary panelists to join us and share their expertise. May I welcome Mr. Saakar Yadav, founder of Lexlegis.ai, pioneering AI-driven legal research firm that hosts India's largest repository of judgments and appeals. With over 25 years of domain expertise, he has transformed legal research by integrating cutting-edge technology into areas like tax law analysis, e-filing, and digital legal solutions. A self-taught technocrat, he also made history in 2001 by launching PC Slate, India's first tablet PC. His innovations have earned recognition, including the Atmanirbhar Bharat App Award. Welcome, sir.
So, namaskar, आप लोग सबको. I might be the only Yadav here. My name is Saakar Yadav, and I have come from Bombay. तो आज सुबह जब बॉम्बे से शताब्दी का ट्रेन पकड़ रहा था, तो मुझे विवेक जैन साहब यहाँ पे हैं. There he is. So he invited me to this event. Thank you for inviting me here. I saw this word Dhandho Valley, and I can tell you I have very little idea of Dhandho Valley and the word Dhandho. So I called my CFO, Mr. Prashant Shah. He's there, please raise your hands. I said, Prashant bhai, ये गुज्जू word है, आपको मेरे साथ चलना पड़ेगा. And he kindly, in fact, he's flying to San Francisco tomorrow morning. He's kindly agreed to come to help me understand this great thing that you're doing. When I boarded the train, it was such an amazing experience. I come from Bihar. I've stayed all over the country. My father has been in the government service. And when I saw Niveshaay, it's a very beautiful name, very positive name. बट जब आय शब्द मैं देखा हूं बचपन में, उसके सामने हमेशा कर लिखा रहता था. माय फादर वाज इन द इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट, तो आय के साथ हमेशा कर था. तो इट वाज आयकर, यू नो, आई मीन आयकर इज इनकम टैक्स फॉर ऑल दोज, यू नो. तो यहाँ पे निवेश आय के बाद मुझे थोड़ा सा इनकम्प्लीट लग रहा था, बट बोला कि नहीं, आई थिंक बिजनेस धंधो इज अबाउट कर मिसिंग, यू नो, इट हैज टू बी विद आय ओनली. सो हियर आई एम. Of course, Surat is a nice place. My wife has just messaged me कि वहाँ पे चीज अच्छी मिलती है, खाने के लिए लेते आइएगा. तो after this I'll go. So of course we are living in a moment very profound. You know, this is the time. This is the artificial intelligence that we are going to speak about. It is as profound as the invention of the wheel. or the invention of fire, or the discovery of fire, or harnessing electricity. Throughout history, each of these have transformed humanity. Please, all of you, I'm not much from the finance side, but from the technology side and the usage side, please understand it's a profound moment in history. Your next generation or the generation after that is going to say, "Acha, आप उस समय थे जब AI invent हुआ था." It's that moment, and we stand on a threshold of something amazing that is going to come in multiple fields that we don't even know what's going to happen. For the first time, intelligence, जिसको बुद्धिमत्ता कहते हैं, intelligence, the very quality has always set us apart from other living beings. Intelligence, he makes us human, right? That separates us from the ape, that separates us from monkeys. This shift is not merely technological, it is civilizational, it is social, it is beyond what we can imagine. Our mission here at Lexlegis is very clear. It is to impact millions of people and corporations by fundamentally changing how legal systems work. We aim to cut costs, save time, and above all, ensure faster access of justice to everyone. I have a question. Is there anybody who has not seen a courtroom? Please raise your hands. Please raise your hands. जिन्होंने आज तक कोर्ट नहीं गए? Okay, that's amazing. But that's very few hands. Is there anybody whose family is not involved in any legal hassle? Please raise your hands. Not bad. Vivek ji, aapke family involved. I'm going to speak about Lexlegis, but before that, I want to ask you a question. I didn't know it was going to be such a beautiful, large audience. I would have got some gifts, as I usually get. I have a few questions before I start, just to wake up the people. In fact, I can tell you, I was speaking in one seminar. एक seminar में मैं बोल रहा था, और मैं देखा सामने में एक आदमी सो गया था. Then I said, "You there, please get up." 12 लोग खड़े होके उठ गए. Sir, I'm talking to you also there, sir. Hello. Okay, can you tell me how many courtrooms are there in India? Any idea? Courtrooms. सूरत में कितने courtrooms? पूरे इंडिया में कितने courtrooms होंगे? 4,000. Okay, very good. 4,000 courtrooms. There are 500 plus districts in India. How many courtrooms? There are 18,000 courtrooms in India. 18,000. Do you know how many cases are pending in India? It's close to 5 crores. And we're expecting about 8 to 10 crores cases coming in the next few years. That big is the problem of law. Can anybody here tell me what is the legal spend of the top 500 companies in India? Top 500 companies in India, maybe listed or not listed, immaterial. What is the total legal expense that they must be doing? Take a wild guess. $2 million. $2 billion. 2 billion. मतलब अभी कितना रेट है? 18,000 crore. Any other guess? 60,000. आप फोन खोले हुए हैं सर. So the Indian top 500 companies spent $6 billion last year. The global Fortune 500 companies have spent $300 billion on legal expense. The legal services market is a $1.3 trillion market. And AI is set to revolutionize the entire market. It's going to be about $4 billion of revenue globally. We are aiming to cut down these costs and save time for lawyers, law firms, corporate GCs, and the corporate itself. We're wanting to simplify law for first the top level and then go down. That's my father who taught me Aikar that I told you about. That's me. We started thinking about this. My father was a retired IRS officer, Indian Revenue Services. All of you know what revenue services are. I'm sure you know. And I had dropped out of my NDA, the National Defense Academy, on not getting Air Force. And we started developing Lexlegis database. So we actually started in 1998. We launched a search engine based on gist of decisions only for income tax. And most of the government officers and the big chartered accountant firms used to use it. We launched it in CD drives, if you would know. And 2004, we started working on developing the largest database of judgments. 2014, we made the world's largest appeal repository for the government of India. And 2025, we launched, and we just been in the market for the last quarter that we are now piloting with certain clients. So we have 3 core features. Now these 3 core features are the entire length and breadth of all the work that is done in a law firm or a corporate law firm. This is ask, we call it the legal aid. It is ask, interact and draft. Ask is basically legal research answers. So you have a question, I have a daughter who's staying in Dubai, I want to gift her something in India, is it subject to tax? Or I have a piece of land, the neighbor has said this, can he encroach my land? Or I have something on motor vehicle, I could have something on NCLT, I could have something on NCLAT, etc. And then these are the legal research part. Then we come to the interact. Interact is you get a notice, you get a petition, you want to read it. File a reply, the other person files a rejoinder. Rejoinder in the sense, उन्होंने वापस reply किया. So when they reply back, you want to now know कि उनके पहले चिट्ठी में, पहले petition में और दूसरे rejoinder में अंतर क्या है. So all of that should be very quick. That's the second work that is done, that's interact. And D is for drafting. ये दोनों चीज करने के बाद you would like to draft some petition, some letters, something output. Please remember that when you go to open public GPTs, what happens is it is not legal in nature and it can hallucinate. So what we have done is we have our own proprietary 10 million documents, which is equivalent to 20 billion tokens worth of data. Tokens is a unit of, you can understand, a unit of measurement for AI inferences. And we have fine-tuned various parameters from 7 billion to 70 billion parameters. And we have done it on a very super authentic, owned data. So it is not just, imagining things. It's not hallucinating. In fact, आपको जान के हैरत होगी कि recently in Wyoming in US, a person filed a statement with the court जिसमें 4 citations दिए उन्होंने और चारों के चारों citations गलत थे मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि सुखविंदर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब था और उन्होंने बलबीर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब कर दिया. सुखविंदर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, वो बलबीर सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब है ही नहीं. It did not exist. The AI tends to hallucinate. And what is hallucination? जैसे कि आप उनको बोलते हैं, AI को बोलते हैं चिट्ठी लिखने के लिए, write a letter asking for a holiday, and it writes a letter. But every letter is new because it is generating those tokens, generating the letter for you. But if it generates judgments for you, it is not good. Please remember, in the AI world, 3 things: medical, finance, and legal. You have to be yes or no. You have to be black and white. So if you see, most of our slides are black and white. You cannot be shades of gray. In finance too, you cannot be शायद stock market ऊपर जाएगा या शायद ये चीज ऐसा होगा. It has to be yes or no. It cannot be hallucinating. So we solve for 3 main things: hallucination, we give an explanation कि ये output क्यों आ रहा है, and we give source reference. I'm happy to tell you, in the short few months of that we are live, we've already gone live with companies like KPMG, etc., all India. Various other large companies, etc., that we are working with. This is a global competition. In US, we have Harvey, and you will be surprised that OpenAI and Google, GV stands for Google Ventures. Google Ventures both have invested in Harvey. Then we have Legora in Europe from Stockholm. So these are our global competitors where General Catalyst has invested. We have Lexlegis, that is our company. We intend to be going into US, and now we're intending to now finish the India story and now enter the global market. That's it. Thank you so much, please.
I request you to be on stage. Now I request our other panelists to join us on the stage. Mr. Abhinav Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of Fluid AI, a company built on the vision that AI should not just assist but truly understand, influence, and lead. A chartered accountant turned self-taught coder. His journey includes winning the TechCrunch Disrupt Hackathon, building the AI version of Warren Buffett, and being featured on the cover of Forbes as well as Fortune 40 under 40. I request Mr. Sajiv Nair, CIO, CISO, and Head Solutions at ESDS, where he drives technology, leadership, cybersecurity strategy, and solution innovation for one of India's leading data center and cloud service providers. With over a decade of experience in engineering and technology integration, Sajiv Sir has led high impact projects spanning modern systems, embedded platforms, and large scale digital transformation. His strong academic grounding in electronics and engineering underpins his ability to combine technical depth and strategic vision. Welcome, sir. Mr. Shrinivas Deshingkar, chairman of Shreetech Data Limited, an electrical engineer and entrepreneur who founded the company in 1998 with a vision to deliver excellence in engineering. He leads Shreetech's efforts in electrical infrastructure, data center systems, smart city projects, rail electrification, and broader utility infrastructure. Under his leadership, the company has expanded its technical depth, entered the fast growing data center and IT infrastructure verticals, and secured a robust order book.
May I please call on stage Mr. Gaurav Sood, Executive Director, Valiant Communications, where he leads the company's global growth strategy and customer engagement initiatives. With deep expertise in communications technology and international markets, he has been instrumental in expanding Valiant's footprint across telecom transmission, networking, and cybersecurity solutions. His leadership has been key in strengthening partnerships, driving adoption of advanced technologies, and building trusts with clients worldwide. May I next call upon Mr. Ayush Sinhal, founder and CEO at Kimbal Technologies. The company is a leading smart metering solutions provider in India. Mr. Ayush brings extensive experience in the energy distribution sector, having led the company to become a trusted name in India's advanced metering infrastructure. Ayush's deep technical expertise and visionary leadership have been key drivers of Kimball's growth and innovation in the energy tech. Our discussion will be guided by Mr. Vivek Jain, Managing Director at Action Tesa, a part of the Action Group of companies headquartered in Delhi that holds a strong presence in various sectors, including footwear, electronics, real estate, MDF, and particle board. I would now like to invite Ms. Gunjan Kabra and Keshav Sureka from Niveshaay, who will lead the conversation and later open the floor for questions. I request all the panelists to please share your journey briefly in under 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Gaurav Mohan Sood. I joined Valiant I represent Valiant Communications Limited. We're a listed company on the Bombay Stock Exchange. We were founded in 1993 by my father, Inder Mohan Sood, and it was in technical and financial collaboration with an American company. Then we went public, and now it's a completely Indian company. And I joined the company about 6 years ago. Just to give a brief background of my education, I studied computer engineering from the University of Waterloo in Canada, and I graduated in 2020. And ever since then, I've been part of Valiant Communications, and now I'm leading the engineering and the software development of the company, and working on all the emerging technologies and shaping the next generation of technologies at the company. Brief background about what we do as a company. We've been in the we started in the telecom sector in 1993, and then moved to data communications and telecom for power. Now we supply protection equipment, protection signaling equipment, synchronization equipment, as well as with going big into data storage for data centers and cybersecurity. That's a little bit about it.
I'm Sajiv Nair. I'm CIO CISO for ESDS Software Solutions. We are a 20-year-old organization, and whatever you hear about majorly when we talk about AI, we talk about security. So these are areas we have been working around. And we started as a technical organization. We started from building data centers. We built our own cloud orchestration platform way back. Then we have four to five data centers in the country today and growing. And we aspire also to be in the AI age. and we have been discussing that, and that's the topic we'll be discussing a lot today as well. So, having said that, we are into cloud, we are into data centers, we are into managed services, managed security services, the complete ecosystem that can provide an end-to-end solution when it comes to whatever we are talking about today as well. And as somebody rightly said, we are in Dhandho Valley, we talk business, right? And business is going to be driven by what we are going to discuss now, right? And everything we are going to discuss now is interconnected, right? So AI is interconnected with security, with managed services, the total ecosystem. And I'm very proud to say I work with an organization which provides all of them. Thank you.
Namaskar. I am Shrinivas Raghunath Deshingkar. Our company name is Shreetech Data Limited. We started in 1998. That was the first telecom was started in India. So we built first data center for AT&T. And from 98 till 2025, we are mainly into data centers. So we built for all telecom companies. Then 2001, Government of India came with a data center mandate for all banks, including Reserve Bank of India. So we built the data center for Reserve Bank of India to all nationalized bank, to all private banks, National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange. So we evolved the whole data center industry right from 1 kilowatt rack load to now we are talking about 100 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt rack load with liquid cooling. So we saw the journey for more than 27 years in data center. Similarly, we work for Indian Railways, we work for transmission data center, transmission network, then we work for solar hydro project power evacuation. So we are touching to almost all sectors where the power is required. So that is what about Shreetech Data Limited. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Abhinav, one of the co-founders at Fluid AI. So our journey was quite interesting. I co-founded it with my brother Raghav, and we started working in the AI space for, I think, about 2012 is when we started. So both of us were actually finance guys. So our first love was finance and investing. So I was a chartered accountant, Raghav was a CFA. But we were both self-taught coders, so very passionate about technology as well. And in 2012, both of us were actually in New York, and there was this TechCrunch Disrupt Hackathon that was happening. At that time, it was one of the world's largest coding competitions, so a 24-hour coding competition. And we said, oh, this seems a lot more interesting to do than visit Statue of Liberty for the third time. So we said, let's go ahead and take part there. And we were the winners there. And that kind of prompted us to come back to India and, build out something great in AI. Obviously, 15 years ago, no one really talked much about AI the way they talk about it today. We were very, very early to the market. Scaled the business, grew it well. I got into ISB Hyderabad for my MBA. Raghav got into IIM Ahmedabad. We both dropped out because we got a big contract for AI from Bank of America at the time. And then continued to grow it. We had the opportunity of working with Warren Buffett, launching his official AI version. That scaled to about 100 million users that are used globally. We got to have lunch with him. And he gave us a little bit of advice. He said, invest in yourself and you will continue to grow. So we followed his advice and that helped us to keep investing in our own learning and growth as an AI company. We ended up making it to the cover of Forbes for the work we did in AI. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've been largely focused on generative AI. So we have an enterprise Gen AI product. And we're seeing the impact, right, across industries. When you get deeper into the panel, we'll talk more about that. But we service enterprise AI across everything from banking, so like large banks in the US, like a Bank of America, MasterCard, the Royal Bank of Canada, to everything that's on the manufacturing, right? So Hindustan Petroleum in India runs on Fluid AI's generative AI platform, to a NABARD, which is a National Agricultural Bank regulator. So a very wide sphere of impact is what we're seeing in this space. We're quite excited about it. And look forward to our discussion today.
Hi, good afternoon all. I'm Ayush. I represent a company called Kimbal. Story has been we started 15 years back. So what is happening today is the complete fundamentals of the energy sector is changing. Right? And where we are, we started with the measurement devices. We started with smart metering as a solution, where we said at the interface between the grid and the consumer is the management device. Energy meters, right? So we started with that, we used them as an IoT. The demand of the consumer, that is where we are at today. Find ourselves at the center of the tornado, which is the energy transition, and there's a lot to be done. I was just hearing sir talking about 20 years back or 25 years back. The first thing that we did, again, this was 15, 16 years back, fire. I remember putting that server in my room. More than the quality of the code, I was concerned about that server being on 24 cross 7. I still remember the first 4 lakh rupee or 5 lakh rupee capex that I did was buying that server and keeping it on. You know, the codes were still, we had some patches to keep it up and running, but this was a nightmare. So yes, how data centers are important, how reliability is a critical nature over here. And we come in from Kimbal saying the quality of power or the continuous uptime of power is critical to have this AI revolution ongoing or the data centers supporting or being the backbone of wherever we want to be. So that is where Kimbal comes in. We're building power quality solutions for data centers. We're building solutions to procure power at a lower cost rate. We are also looking at challenging the status quo of traditional equipments like transformers, which have been constant for the last hundreds of years. Today's transformer, if you look at it, the job is just step up or step down of voltage, whereas we believe it can do much more, and solid state transformers have started coming in. And Niveshaay also wrote a very beautiful paper on it, on wideband group of semiconductors, GAN, which is silicon carbide. But these are the things that can revolutionize the way we access data. These are the things that can revolutionize the way we feed power to data centers, which is the critical element today. See, interestingly, when we talk about data centers, the first thing that comes in is the NVIDIA chip. But there is a lot more than that. And what everyone is saying in the world is NVIDIA chips is one thing which is easy to get. But the power to feed it is the nightmarish situation today, which no one is able to solve. And that is where we come in. We are also looking at solutions, which we call it energy management systems, for cooling of these data centers, which is the HVAC control, how we can use generative AI or RNN technologies to automate the continuous flow of these HVAC systems. This is where Kimbal is at.
So let me start with Abhinav from Fluid AI. So I think Abhinav has done a wonderful job in building India's one of the pioneering AI company that focuses on providing co-pilot solutions to enterprises. So Abhinav, as we all notice that these traditional IT companies, the big firms that are India's global outsourcing center, so they are now also finding their space in the AI ecosystem. Slowly, like they are into small language models and even moving towards AI, agentic AI integration. So what is going to be the next step, like for this global, for these IT companies? Like what will be the core difference between a pure play IT company and a pure play IT company and a pure play AI company?
Yeah, no, I think great question, right? And that also kind of helps us decide where to invest and where to run short on that particular stock. So I think the way we're seeing it, right, the way you need to look at this market is like any other, almost like any other cyclical market that you study, right? It's a demand supply game. So you're saying one side, right, on the supply side, you're saying massive amounts of efficiency is going to come in, right? So software, AI is going to help software coders write much better code. So there's going to be a great efficiency in coding, which means the cost of software is going to come down. There's going to be a massive amount of supply in the market for software. And that combination is going to yield productivity gains at different levels, right? So someone who is seeing like a 5x productivity gain is a high level coder, right? So they're becoming 3x, 4x, 5x more productive. When the productivity gain of the tech becomes 1000x, right, 100x to 1000x, then the person becomes obsolete in that part. So things like business process outsourcing, traditional KPOs and BPOs, they probably are going to see the 1000x productivity gain, where tech is going to make it 1000x more productive. Then comes the, so we covered the supply side, then comes the demand side, right, where how is that changing? So demand side is changing in two different ways, right? There was demand for traditional software, and then there's demand for high-end AI-related software. So when you start looking at this as not just one demand cycle of software, but as two demand cycles, the demand for traditional software is now going to fall massively because that's already, or it's going to be there, but it's going to be serviced by AIs. You're not going to need a company to come in and build a simple web app, a simple Android application for you. But the demand for AI-based solutions is massively going to scale that people are not realizing. Today, if a call center spends $3 million to run its call center, now they're saying, okay, if I have a 500-seater call center, I'm going to make it AI-driven. So I'm going to spend $3 more million on agentic AI services to automate that call center. So my spend on AI services is going to go up massively. So I think the outcome, right, the net outcome of all of this is going to be, one is anyone who's running on man-hour basis, right, time and materials, man-hour, man-day, man-month charges, right, they are going to get hit very aggressive because the cost of a man-month is going to come down. Anyone on the other side of it who's providing outcome-based solutions, or at least migrating their business very quickly to outcome-based businesses, is going to do very well because their margins are going to go up. And if their outcome business is linked to agentic AI services, right, like what a Fractal is looking at, like a cogentic model, things like what we are doing, things like what certain of the IT companies, I won't give names, so certain of them are doing that transition quicker. They are going to succeed in the market really well. And the other thing is, mediocrity is going to get punished. So that's the final thing I'll close this layering with, is if a coder becomes, with AI, from 1x to 10x, that's great. A coder that moves from 1x to 3x is not going to be valued in the market anymore, right? Even if he's using AI, but kind of using it, he's not going to be valued anymore. So because he's compared to a language model in terms of performance. So mediocrity will get punished very, very, very heavily in firms as well. So companies that are not retrenching the mediocrity in their systems are going to get hit very aggressively. If you see, like in the news already, TCS is one of the leaders, right, who's saying, okay, I'm retrenching 30,000, I'm doing retrenching 40,000. That's actually a great sign because that means as a firm, they're retrenching the mediocrity and keeping it efficient so that they can enter the new generation very effectively.
Thanks, Abhinav. I have a question for Mr. Sajiv Nair. So we are sitting in Dhandho Valley. So everybody here is looking for more investment opportunities. कि पैसा कहाँ लगाएं, right? So
we saw a figment of that in the morning, I believe.
Yeah. So and we have recently heard the great news about the Indian government, getting supporting data centers and putting up a lot of money in that space. So and you are into the thick of that space. So can you tell our esteemed audience that how this space shaping up, and which are the areas investors like sitting here should look at?
Absolutely. First of all, I would love to talk about my foray into Surat. Like I had been here long back. This is my second visit after a long time. And the first time I came in, and it struck a chord when you were talking about SCADA. So when we deployed the first SCADA over VSAT, I was with an org, and the Surat-Ankleshwar pipeline was being set up through Gujarat Gas, and I was instrumental in doing that. So it became a little nostalgic here. Answering your question, talking about AI, let's look at what's happening globally. So globally, if you ask me, like more data centers are built on AI now than infrastructure. Like typically when you go to a city, what do you look at? You see roads being built, buildings being done, right? Now we are talking about data centers being built and AI data centers being built. And when you say AI data centers, you are specifically talking about processing capability. So GPU, right? So when you talk about GPU, that is today the catchword. Probably tomorrow this may become something else, right? So why am I talking about the global? We'll come to the local and we'll talk about Dhandho, no doubt, right? So globally what is happening is data centers are being built everywhere across the globe, right? There is a lot of AI workloads which are, instrumental in these data centers coming up. So what are these workloads? We are talking about IoT. We are talking about, any analytics going on. We are talking about the GPTs of the world. So all of these are triggering this revolution, right? तो हम देख रहे हैं कि ये revolution trigger हो रहा है by data, trigger हो रहा है by IoT devices जो integrate होंगे. तो और इसके कारण क्या हो रहा है? ये जो countries ये data centers set up कर रहे हैं, उनके पास ना capacity है, ना manpower है, ना resources है. But वो मजबूरी में set up कर रहे हैं. लेकिन उसके बाद क्या? जब ये डिमांड और बढ़ रहा है और जैसे बढ़ रहा है, उनको कंट्रीज जैसे इंडिया और चाइना की जरूरत पड़ेगी. चाइना पे तो ट्रस्ट बढ़ेगी नहीं लोगों की, right? So automatically the next focus will be India, right? And across, even in globally, what we are seeing is people are looking at tier 2 cities. And we are seeing that push in India as well. So we are seeing a lot of government, like I was in some events in the south, I've been events in other part of the country where all the state governments are promoting tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? Like for example, Karnataka is talking beyond Bangalore, right? Similarly in UP, we are talking about beyond, Lucknow, Kanpur. We are talking about other cities. And the very fact that we ourselves are in collaboration setting up a data center in UP as well, which, the chief minister there had inaugurated with our CMD. So the push is going to be, what is going to happen is connected ecosystems to AI is going to rule the roost, right? So क्या होने वाला है? Data center तो बनेगा, वो डिमांड पे, इंटरनेशनल डिमांड पे बनेगा ऑफ AI डेटा सेंटर्स, जो GPU वर्कलोड्स बाहर है एंड व्हाट वर्कलोड्स, उसका जो ऑफशूट है वो इधर इंडिया में आएगा एंड ऑल कनेक्टेड इकोसिस्टम विल आल्सो ग्रो. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल यू टॉक अबाउट ग्रीन एनर्जी, विंड एनर्जी, सोलर एनर्जी, hydroelectric power. So this ecosystem will go up, right? Secondly, you're talking about what is required for AI. You require chips, you require ODMs, right? So what type of manufacturing will go up? So everything connected with this wave is going to go up, right? So purely coming to your question of where the investment focus should be. So we all know where our hand and mouth has to be, right? So it has to be in that ecosystem. We cannot ignore this ecosystem. And then there will be connected services to that. Like as, we were also discussing in the morning, right? AI is not going to be pure infrastructure based, right? When we say AI or any ecosystem which you'll have to build, it has to be built on the tenets of manpower, right? Obviously, anything which is digitized is going to need security, right? Anything which has to be set up will need to be operated. So there is going to be an ecosystem which will be around it. So I think investments should be in that area which will support that ecosystem. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you. You didn't tell the stocks we should buy, right?
Separately बात करेंगे.
Very interesting. I'll also pass on the question to Shrinivas ji. आपका मतलब you have done work in IIT Bombay, NSC, BSc, मतलब the India's best institutions you have made the data center. आपको क्या लगता है कि कैसा फ्यूचर, मतलब कि कहाँ जा रही है इंडिया, और हमारे जितने यहाँ लोग बैठे हैं, काफी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स बैठे हैं, इन्वेस्टर्स तो बैठे ही हैं, तो हाउ वी शुड थिंक एट कैसे करना चाहिए उसको?
Thank you, Vivek ji, for calling me here. So I am being electrical engineer. I am very specific whether switch is on or off. So मैं कॉपी लेके आया हूँ. Hope 40 मार्क्स आप सब लोग मुझे दोगे. Where we stand as India in global top 10 data centers. We are nowhere in data center in top 10. USA 8 data centers, China 3, and India is not in even top 10. India's largest data center capacity is at one location 60 megawatt, whereas world's largest data center is having 650 megawatt. So it is 10 times at one location. So China is having biggest data center size 10.7 million square feet in size. India is having some 1000 square feet odd. So install capacity worldwide in data center, US is having 53.8 gigawatt. This is 3 months before data. China is 31 gigawatt. Japan is 2 gigawatt. UK is 1.7. Germany 1.3. And India has not crossed 1 gigawatt. It may be 1 gigawatt plus minus. So this is the data center total worldwide data. Demand side, what will be the future of data center? Another 5 years we will talk only. So mobile data is 132 EB exabyte. That is 1 byte is equal to 1 billion GB. Okay. And China is having 335 EB. US is having 132 EB. It's all based on the population and telecom user, mobile users. And India is having 230 EB. So we in data, we are number 2 in the world, but infrastructure wise, we are not in top 10. So that is the potential available. So per capita data consumption is 33 GB in USA, in China 20 GB and India 13. So there's huge potential of data. AI वगैरह आने की लोग बात करते, AI आएगा, GPU आएगा. We have installed GPU in our election commission last month. So we understand what is the election data is flowing. So that is also revolution. So by 2030, India will consume 60 GB data per person, which is at the moment 13 GB. So it's a 5x, more than 5x we are talking about. Only mobile data increase. This is Indian Telecom officially data. So which is largest. So data बढ़ेगा तो data centers बढ़ेंगे, data centers बढ़ेगा तो power requirement बढ़ेगा, और हर एक इंडस्ट्री का एक रॉ मटेरियल होता है. जैसे शुगर केन का शुगर है, मैकेनिकल इंडस्ट्री कोई भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट है उनका एक रॉ मटेरियल होता है. वैसे डेटा सेंटर इंडस्ट्री का रॉ मटेरियल है पावर, विच इज देयर 70% एक्सपेंडिचर. सो पावर अगर अपने देश में बनाना है तो उसमें बहुत ज्यादा डिमांड है. उसके बाद टेक्निकल वर्कफोर्स, यूएस में 1.9 मिलियन है, चाइना में 9.4 है, और इंडिया में 6 मिलियन है. वेयर एज द पॉपुलेशन वी आर सेकंड इन वर्ल्ड. बहुत सारे जगह पे उसके वजह से रोजगार आएगा, जैसे सिविल रिक्वायरमेंट बहुत ज्यादा होगा, मैकेनिकल, इलेक्ट्रिकल, एमईपी इंजीनियरिंग. सो ये अगले 5 से 10 साल में इसमें 20 मिलियन रिक्रूटमेंट होगा, स्किल रिक्रूटमेंट होगा. तो सबसे ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट विवेक जी सर्विस इंडस्ट्री में भी करना चाहिए. जो स्किल्ड मैन पावर सप्लाई करता है, दैट विल बी द फ्यूचर. We are also having scarcity of good manpower. He may endorse. So second, what will be the investor's role? That I will answer. So we can think of building 20 megawatt small data centers, which can scalable up to 100, 200. So 20 megawatt doesn't require much investment. We can think of 40 crores per megawatt is standard in AI. After adding all 150 kilowatt, there may be slight change of 10 crores plus or minus. That is under discussion. Nobody has commissioned in India, so we don't have correct figure for AI large scale data centers. What will the cost per megawatt? But average it is 40 crores. So 800 crore 4-5 लोग इकट्ठा आके बना सकते. So that is need of the hour. दूसरा है कनेक्टिविटी. अपने देश में और एक प्रॉब्लम है कनेक्टिविटी का. इसके लिए लगता है CLS, केबल लैंडिंग स्टेशन, जो इंडिया में आज की तारीख में 2 ही जगह पे, एक मुंबई में, चेन्नई में. इसके लिए देश में डेटा सेंटर 2 ही जगह बनते हैं, एक मुंबई और चेन्नई. चेन्नई से एक लिंक चंद्रबाबू नायडू जी ने हैदराबाद तक लाया है, जो उन्होंने हाईटेक सिटी बनाया, तो वहां पे डेटा सेंटर बनता है. उसका रीजन है उन्होंने 15 साल पहले बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट करके वहां से सबमरीन केबल डाल के यहाँ तक कनेक्टिविटी लाई है. सेकंड कनेक्टिविटी मुंबई से पुणे में है, जब विदेश संचार निगम लिमिटेड था, आज से 100 साल पहले उन्होंने कनेक्टिविटी लाई है. तो ये 2 कनेक्टिविटी के कारण देश में ये 4 ही लोकेशन है जहां पे डेटा सेंटर बनता है. सॉल्यूशन क्या है? हमें और सबमरीन केबल डालनी होंगी. गोवा में डाल सकते हैं, भुवनेश्वर में डाल सकते हैं, बहुत जगह पे डाल सकते हैं, सो दैट वी विल गेट मोर कनेक्टिविटी. गुजरात में भी हमारे पास 8000 किलोमीटर का सी कनेक्टिविटी है, तो गुजरात में भी डाल सकते हैं. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट इंडिया में अभी होना चाहिए. उसके बगैर ये सब डेटा, एआई, जीपीयू, बीपीयू बात करते हैं, उसको आने जाने के लिए अपने पास फाइबर ही नहीं है, ये फैक्ट है. उसमें पॉलिसी में चेंजेस क्या चाहिए? CLS का अपने देश में पॉलिसी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस बहुत है. अभी तो विवेक जी ने बताया कि 20 साल का जो टैक्स हॉलिडे दिया है, वो टैक्स हॉलिडे के बारे में भी डिटेल स्टडी करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने उसको कैप रखा है. बड़े लोग ही 100 मेगावाट अबव वाले आ सकते हैं. बहुत सारे स्टार दिए, उसमें हम फॉर्म भरने को जाएंगे तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि 10 साल हमें टैक्स एग्जम्पशन मिलेगा. उसके बाद SPV फॉर्म करके छोटा छोटा क्लाउड डेटा सेंटर बना सकते हैं. जैसे AI के लिए कितना रिक्वायरमेंट लगता है, आई डोंट नो अबाउट द टेक्नोलॉजी, बट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पार्ट आई कैन टेल कि छोटा छोटा सूरत में हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्लेस में अगर एक डेटा सेंटर बनाते हैं तो दैट विल बी नीड ऑफ आवर. तो वो एक सब इन्वेस्टर्स बात कर सकते हैं. क्योंकि मुझे एक इन्वेस्टर्स लोगों को एक चीज बोलना है कि पैसा लगा के सोने का नहीं. विवेक जी हमें हर हफ्ते कुछ ना कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन भेजते रहते हैं, हर हफ्ते कुछ सवाल भी पूछते हैं. तो उसके बाद मुझे 8 दिन लगता है स्टडी करके उनको आंसर देने के लिए. कभी कभी मैं आंसर भी नहीं देता हूं लेकिन जो भी देता हूं सही देता हूं, ट्रस्ट. तो SPV फॉर्म कर छोटा 10 मेगावाट 20 मेगावाट का डेटा सेंटर्स बना सकते हैं. उसके बाद बहुत बड़ा रिक्वायरमेंट है अपने देश में. हम बोलते हैं कि 500 गीगावाट का हम ग्रीन एनर्जी की बात करते हैं बाय 2030. उसमें 300 गीगावाट सोलर और 200 गीगावाट अदर. मुझे लगता है कि डेटा सेंटर अलोन के लिए ही हमें 300 गीगावाट की जरूरत पड़ेगी अगले 5 साल में. बट उसके लिए कोई क्लैरिटी नहीं है, बहुत सारा चैलेंजेस है, ज़्यादा चैलेंजेस नहीं बोलूँगा, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट हैज़ टू रेस. So these are all my inputs to all the investors, and this is with only data center we have lot of opportunities. मतलब ट्रांसफार्मर चाहिए, केबल चाहिए, देश में केबल नहीं मिलता है, स्टील नहीं मिलता है, कंडक्टर नहीं मिलता है, तो these are abandoned opportunities. आज कोई भी सप्लाई चेन में मटेरियल टाइम पे नहीं मिलता है. सो जहाँ जहाँ पे मटेरियल देना है, तो ये सारा इसका हर एक का रिक्वायरमेंट हर ईयर $10 बिलियन से बढ़ेगा. अगर इस साल $10 बिलियन है, अगले साल $20 बिलियन होगा, उसके अगले साल 30 होगा, अगले साल 40 होगा. बट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट इतने फास्ट नहीं लगा सकते. विवेक जी लगा रहे, हम लगा रहे, हमको मालूम है तकलीफ. एक 2 साल लग जाते हैं गवर्नमेंट परमिशंस में, लोकल इश्यूज में. तो ये सारा पोटेंशियल है जहाँ पे सब लोग मिलके काम कर सकते हैं. मेरा अकेले का काम नहीं है, विवेक जी का नहीं है. इसमें अगर 100 हाथ जुड़ेंगे तभी ये स्केलिंग पॉसिबल है, जो डिमांड है आज. सो डिमांड अबेंडेंट है, सबको साथ में चल के काम करना है. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
ने काफी अच्छे से हाईलाइट किया कि हम लोग के यहाँ पे क्या बॉटलनेक्स है. तो अभी जैसे हम जब अपन ने सोलर एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन एज ए थीम आया था, तब सोलर बहुत कॉस्टली होता था, फिर अडॉप्शन से कॉस्ट कर्व काफी कम आया, तो मास अडॉप्शन ज्यादा इंक्रीज हुआ. तो अगर हम लोगों को एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऐसी आए, क्योंकि डेटा सेंटर्स काफ़ी नए हैं, अब नया एज अ सेगमेंट है और ग्रोथ रेट काफ़ी हाई हो सकती है, बिकॉज आपने बताया कि 5 टाइम्स डिमांड भी इंक्रीज हो जाएगी. तो अभी हम लोग एज अ कर्व पे कौन से कर्व पे हैं कि इन्फ्लेक्शन पॉइंट पे जैसे रैपिडली इवॉल्व होगा इंडिया में. इवन संजीव, यू कैन चिप इन दिस that how the adoption towards for us to operate, because it is a very capex intensive industry. आप एक डेटा सेंटर लगाओगे, फिर आपको नेक्स्ट डेटा सेंटर्स के लिए फॉर एग्जांपल डेट या इक्विटी रेज करते रहना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इट इज ह्यूजली केपेक्स एंड वी आर वेरी न्यू टू इट. तो कौन से कर्व पे है एज एन कंट्री वी आर ऑन, एंड व्हाट बॉटलनेक्स we need to solve it firstly initially, and then maybe we can come up to the power segment. But if you can chip in this, both of you.
तो जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे मॉर्निंग में भी, अगर आप देखो तो इंडिया टुडे generates 20% of the world data. 20% of the world data is generated by India, and we only contribute to 7% of the data center utilization across the globe, right? So जैसे मैंने कहा कि countries, और जैसे सर भी बता रहे थे, right? Yes, regulatory problems है, yes, connectivity के problems है, लेकिन जो countries आज data centers खड़ा कर रहे हैं, ऐसे countries खड़ा कर रहे हैं जिनके water के problems है, right? Drought issues है, वो भी data centers खड़ा कर रहे हैं because they know that ये need है. It's like a war, कोई option नहीं है, right? So talking about inflection point, हमारे पास अभी data center की requirements बहुत आएंगी because of GPU demand, one. सेकेंडली इंटरनल अदर जो ट्रेडिशनल डेटा सेंटर के वो कम होते जाएंगे, बट पैरेलली जीपीयू की रिक्वायरमेंट्स या जो एआई ड्रिवन रिक्वायरमेंट्स वो बढ़ती जाएगी, राइट? सो फ्रॉम एंड डेटा सेंटर मार्केट न्यू तो नहीं है, राइट? इट इज बीन इवॉल्विंग, मे बी इट वाज वेटिंग फॉर द राइट पीरियड, राइट? वी हैव लर्नड एज अ कंट्री, और उसके कारण अर्लियर अगर डेटा सेंटर अगर ये जैसे आज के जो ट्रेंड है वो ट्रेंड अगर 10 साल पहले आता तो we would have been caught unprepared. आज thanks to the data center industry which struggled. Yes, there was a niche. Like lot of companies did start data centers initially. अगर आप देखो तो 90s में 2000 में टाटा ने एयरटेल ने data centers खड़े किए, but that did not work. They had to close down. So this is a right period where people learned there is resources available. So I visited a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities, and I could see that there is a lot of people, there is a lot of skills available in the country, and there is an ecosystem for AI being built. अगर हम LLMs की भी बात करें, local LLMs के ऊपर research हो रही है. There are organizations जो localized chat GPTs बना रहे हैं, right? So there is an ecosystem support which is going on. अगर security की भी बात करें, there are a lot of colleges which have included things in their curriculum which is taking care of it. So from an inflection point of view, so data center model की अगर आप बात करें तो मेजरली क्या होता है, लाइक सर ने जो कॉस्ट बताए, दैट कुड बी मोर फ्रॉम अ नॉन आईटी पर्सपेक्टिव. प्योरली अगर आईटी की बात करें, जीपीयू की बात करें, तो इन्वेस्टमेंट विल बी मल्टीफोल्ड, बिकॉज जीपीयू के कॉस्ट भी बहुत ज्यादा वेरी होते जा रहे हैं. सो फ्रॉम अ डेटा सेंटर पर्सपेक्टिव, जीपीयू डेटा सेंटर्स बन रहे हैं, नो डाउट बन रहे हैं. डिमांड जो इंटरनेशनल डिमांड से ड्राइव होगी और वो फिर इंडियन डिमांड को ड्राइव करेगी, राइट? इंडिया हैज ऑलवेज बीन अ फॉलोअर. India has never been the first or the the first mover when it comes to it. We have always been the second and third mover. तो यहाँ पे awareness है, सब लोग बात कर रहे हैं. तो data centers will surely come in. But as a second mover, Indian traffic will come in. But the first mover will be international traffic. So from an investment perspective, this is the right time. और कोई भी investment returns to एक दिन में नहीं देता है, right? It has to be a future ready. अगर आपके पास, it is like saying आप एक दुकान में जाते हो, आप पूछते हो कोक है, बोलता नहीं है, लिम्का है, दे दीजिए, right? So similarly, this is what is going to happen in the world. There is a demand, right? People who are ready will get that demand. People who are, and that is the reason why countries who are not even capable are setting up data centers and trying to meet that demand. हमारे पास capability है, manpower है, resources है. I think this is the right time to invest in India.
I think, Shrinivas, I completely agree that data utilization on mobile is going to go up 5 times. But with AI, it may go up 20x in the next 5 years' time. That's number one. Number two, a very important point that Sir has mentioned, that we are generating 20% of the world data. But there is another problem that you have to understand to why to invest in data centers. Companies are spending 5 to 10 billion dollars a year by paying foreign data centers, and data is hosted outside. So I will give you the government angle. The government angle is the government would not want this money to be going outside. So they will come up with policies to support data centers so that this money does not go outside, because you're losing all this money, right? So the government will come up. You know that they have come up with DPDP. DPDP में बोलते हैं कि data privacy का issue है, data privacy का issues है. I personally feel that is not the main concern. It is a law that DPDP, data privacy तो एक छोटी सी point है, but mainly like GDPR or anything else, it is to restrict data not going out, but more importantly कि हमारे पास जो वो खर्चे हो रहे हैं जो बाहर जा रहे हैं उसको इंडिया में हमको रिटेन करना है. So this is the right time to invest in data centers, number one. Any ancillary units like people who manufacture printed circuit boards or anybody getting into chips, I don't strongly believe that GPU is going to be there for 10 years. They're going to be better. It can't be graphical processing unit. There are going to be different forms of chips coming up, cheaper chips, number two. Number three, because you all are investors, please take a punt on silver. Because all these electronic items that are coming, they use silver, and silver doesn't come back in the market. Like silver, it will keep, the consumption keeps going up. Gold comes back in the market. Somebody needs for some marriage, etc. But silver, therefore you see silver has consistently given more return in the last 1-2 years than gold. So you should think of that also as an investment option, apart from data center, electricity, and all the periphery around.
Son, what you said in terms of localization and all. So, Valiant Communication, is building up Gaurav products for, cyber security, the NAS in the SAN for data storage, and the Make in India product. Very few players who are making it like the Make in India, and at a very lesser cost than what I've understood from you. So, how are we placed in terms of, how is Valiant placed in terms of, being the biggest beneficiary or of this data storage, the localization in terms of cyber security, the national standard that you're building up?
Start with the government policies. All the government policies are tuned towards supporting Indian local manufacturers. So, like you very rightly pointed out, that the money doesn't flow out of the country, it stays within the country, supports local manufacturers, stores jobs in India, boosts the manufacturing industry, and the talent stays within the country. So, we as a manufacturer, we're a completely indigenous manufacturer, everything from the software to the hardware, everything's designed and developed in India and manufactured out of our factory in Delhi. So we've been seeing that, especially with data storage, people are not, they've been taking it very lightly, but everyone says that demand for data storage has been increasing. We started with 8 GB phones, now we've ended up with 2 terabyte phones. And that's also sometimes not enough for some users. And we just quickly push everything to the cloud, and then we just rely on that cloud. But the data storage capacities of the clouds have to keep increasing, and where it's being stored is the data center. And with the data privacy laws and everything in India, it needs to stay in India. So there'll be a massive demand, just not data consumption over the network, but also data storage demand. And with with AI coming into the picture where people are just uploading everything for AI processing online, everything's being stored somewhere and for later retrieval or even for processing. And AI is based on databases, on learning, training data sets, on data sets which are always growing. They'll never contract, they'll always keep growing with population. So the demand for storage is going to start increasing, as well as demand for locally sourced products for data storage devices, for NASs, for SANs. These are the backbones of all data centers right now. And you rightly pointed out, everyone was discussing about how power demand is going to increase. The government of India has also come out, the reliance on AI, the reliance on data centers is increasing so rapidly that eventually it's going to become part of the critical infrastructure of the country. So for example, the northern grid collapsed about a decade ago. So everything went down, and data centers do have backup generators, but to not let something like that happen now will have larger impact on data centers, on the the communication networks of the country. So the data centers are eventually going to be part of a more critical, going to be termed as critical infrastructure. And for that, just grid islanding is a new concept that the government's been pushing in. Every state is supposed to have its own island where the state can survive with its own generation and power its own loads within the state, all the critical infrastructure loads, while disconnecting itself from the rest of the nation's grid. So every state has started implementation on this, and the implementation has just begun. And with data centers growing, the balance between the load and the generation within the states and the loads going up, and data centers are small spots where there's massive draw of power compared to homes which are spread across a larger area. So for this, the government is also spending on a lot on power infrastructure, just not data center, but power to support all this entire ecosystem. So grid islanding, we've been backing grid islanding. So our protection and power sector side of the company has been working on grid islanding, where we are using our products, the PMUs, the terror protections, to create dynamic islands. So in case there is such a scenario, there is uninterrupted power to all the critical infrastructure of the country. And as for storage demand, this demand is ever growing. So the requirement for SAN and NAS, storage area networks, will increase at an individual level, at corporate levels, as well as the data center.
Thank you. Ayush, you are a manufacturer of smart meter, right? And how do you relate that how AI can actually help manufacturing productivity to go up? Like we all read many articles, use AI, your productivity will go up 5x, 10x, blah, blah, blah. So can you elaborate on that? And also, I would also like that you can also touch base on what the space of battery energy storage system coming up, right? What is that link to AI? Is there some linkage there, or there's no linkage in that space? Thank you.
That's a very interesting question. I don't know how many of you have read this article of a dark factory. So Xiaomi started one 3 years back. They said dark factory. The concept of a dark factory is a plant, a manufacturing unit where there's no need of any luminous, right? Where only machines are doing anything and everything. Humans have cognitive ability at whatever level, and we make decisions on the fly. And that is where today substituting humans with 100% machines was thought about next to impossible. But with the data that is being generated by the machines, by the systems, by the processes, and using simple models, we are able to do preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance. We are able to see variability that is coming in, and the decision making can be automated. So that is what enables dark factories. So that is where AI comes in. Without AI, it is impossible. Which stage is it in? I believe AI in factories have been massively adopted now. You read about Tesla whatever factories that they're putting up is towards dark factory, and all the dark factories are again run by AI. Yesterday, we met a entrepreneur who was talking about solar manufacturing or battery manufacturing. In that 2 hour conversation, what really hit me was one line of battery generating 1 petabyte of data. Again, that is mind-boggling, right? A manufacturing unit is generating 1 petabyte. It is not terabyte also. It is 1 petabyte of data by a one line. So that is the data that is coming in, and with that data fed to a model, you can automate anything and everything. You can automate every decision making that is coming in. So yes, there's a massive shift in Kimbal itself. We have started working towards the path of a dark factory. We have started, the first step is to start collecting the data, start digitizing every process that you have. And then the second steps comes in where you start removing the decision making and start removing the humans out of it. Again, the biggest challenge that we discussed in the panel is also not the technology, rather it is the mindset change. How do we enhance the skill of the existing workforce? That skill gap viability is the most difficult challenge that we see in adopting robotics, in adopting AI in manufacturing. Going ahead, on the second part of the question that you asked on storages for data centers, again, sitting in the panel, I think so it was a learning for me itself. I've been hearing this for a very long time that the data center is the next space, next growth sector for the country, but it is evident. The amount of data that is being generated, the amount of automation that we are moving towards, there's massive piece over here. So Kimbal covers the non-glamorous part of the AI journey, which is the fuel to it. And again, as sir mentioned, Shrinivas sir mentioned that 70% of the cost, 70% of the raw material is power. That number is a lot, right? So that is where we come in. We believe there's a lot to be done over here. There's a lot to be done from the first principle basis. As I was talking about some time back, it is just not storage. We have to reimagine everything. The transformers that was made 100 years back, maybe that's not the right piece today. It is just doing step up or step down. Then we have multiple devices after that transformer coming in to ensure the quality of power goes in. See, again, you need to understand the quality of power over here. I'm sure my fellow panel may understand this far better than me. A storage can be destroyed if there's a flicker of voltage. A flicker can happen in 1 millisecond. And with AI coming in, right? I read an article again of OpenAI, where when you're training a model, the power fluctuates by 10 to 15 megawatt. That is again mind-boggling, right? 15 megawatt power being fluctuated at a matter of milliseconds or a fraction of a second. Now that cannot be fulfilled by the traditional storage that we are talking about. You need something like a capacitive bank, you need something like a fuel cell coming in, and then augmented by a battery storage coming in. More than that, what is interesting is the microgrid, the grid islanding that we have been discussing again in the panel. That is where, personally, if you ask me, I feel there's a lot of potential or there's a lot of growth that's going to come in, where you want a microgrid, which is a self-sustainable grid for that data center itself. When a data center requires power to the tune of megawatt to gigawatt, why not just give every infrastructure that is required to it itself, so that it's a self-sustainable piece? And that is the most interesting piece, where you have a renewable source, which is generating the power, you have battery storage, which is storing the power, and then you have everything required to ensure the power quality is maintained. So this is where a self-sustainable, a microgrid or a grid islanding will come in.
Thanks, Ayush. Yeah, he would like to add something. Yeah.
हेलो, तो अभी आयुष ने और विवेक जी आपने जो सवाल पूछा ना, यहाँ पे समझो अगर 400 लोग बैठे हैं, हर एक के पास 2 मोबाइल है एवरेज, हर एक के पास 1 टीबी बैकअप है, बराबर है, और सबने 50% से लेके 60% तक यूज किया है. कोई बैकअप रोज रात को डिलीट करते बैठते हैं, रोज आज इतना डेटा गलत आया डिलीट करो. तो जैसे वाटर में, जैसे किसी ने प्रेजेंटेशन दिया, वाटर अपने देश में लगता कितना है और वेस्ट कितना होता है. वाटर इज वेस्टिंग 70% and excess data which is not useful to the country is also 70%. So 70% data storage करने के लिए जगह, चार्जिंग करने जगह, पावर के लिए जगह, डेटा सेंटर, तो ये सारा जो बढ़ता है that is 70% garbage also we are storing. That is first thing. But second thing, everybody should understand how to optimistically use the power, because if you want to scale, यादव जी आपने वो लीगल केस का आंकड़ा बताया, इसके लिए मैंने वो 5 टाइम्स बोला, क्योंकि कई लोग पूछ जाएंगे कि इन्वेस्टर, मैंने तो 20 टाइम सुन के लगा दिया, मैं बोला यादव जी ने बोला था, मैंने नहीं, मैं तो आज भी 5 टाइम्स पे हूं। तो आप लोग समझिए कि बीएसएस जो आपने पूछा कि बीएसएस का नीड क्या है। अपने देश में आज अगर समझो 3 लाख मेगावाट बिजली तैयार होती है, उसमें से आज भी 30% वेस्ट होती है। तो बीएसएस क्या करता है, जब बिजली ज्यादा बनती है तब वो स्टोर करके रखता है, और वो देता कब है, जब जरूरत है तब देता है। सवेरे 3-4 घंटे ज्यादा रहता है पावर का रिक्वायरमेंट, शाम को ज्यादा रहता है। तो आप अगर पावर का शिफ्ट समझोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि इंडस्ट्री पावर कब लगता है, घर में पावर कब लगता है, 4 घंटा सवेरे 2 घंटा शाम को, इतना ही पावर लगता है। बट इसका कंजम्पशन ह्यूज है। एग्रीकल्चर कंजम्पशन इन दिस कंट्री इज 38%। तो एग्रीकल्चर कंजम्पशन अगर इसको देखते हुए, लेकिन आज वर्ल्ड वाइड डेटा सेंटर का पावर कंजम्पशन विद इन 10 years रीचेस टू 23% ऑफ टोटल वर्ल्ड पावर कंजम्पशन। The data center itself is consuming 23%, and which will another 15 years it will reach to 40%. So try to understand the power requirement, and no country is having ability to scale up the power. So we are talking about micro nuclear grids, which is not in India because the policies are not allowing. So this is what is the total requirement. So what is alternate is BESS. So we can create BESS. There are a lot of people sitting here, they can invest 2 crores, 5 crores and put their own BESS. Even this hotel requires BESS now. Everybody is putting 500 kilowatt, 1 megawatt BESS. So that whenever the power is cheap, you can use through your own BESS. So the ROI will be, Vivek ji, 18 months. If you put BESS in your factory, ROI will be in 18 months. Today. So this is, I think.
Thank you जी। तो मतलब BSS की स्पेस में तो पैसे लगा ही लें, ये क्लियर हो गया है।
एक्चुअली वेरी गुड पॉइंट। इनफैक्ट मेरे थोड़े थंडर आपने स्टील कर दिया, बट ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं। सो देयर आर 2 parts. माय फ्रेंड हियर मेंशन्ड अबाउट ग्रिड आइलैंडिंग, राइट? So what the government is also doing, they realize that there is not power available everywhere, right? So what they have also done is they are in select cases जहाँ पे भी data centers बन रहे हैं या गवर्नमेंट डेटा सेंटर्स बन रहे हैं, एंड देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी टू नेगोशिएट विद द गवर्नमेंट, जहाँ पे वो ग्रिड पास थ्रू मॉडल आ रहे हैं। सो ग्रिड पास थ्रू क्या होता है कि आप एक जनरेशन कंपनी कहीं पे भी लगा लो, अगर मैं एक डेटा सेंटर चालू कर रहा हूँ, मैं आपके पास आके नेगोशिएट करूंगा, राइट? और गवर्नमेंट को बोलूंगा कि ग्रिड के जो चार्जेस है वो मेरे को निकाल दो। तो अभी फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर प्रिवेलेंट रेट है 10 रुपीज पर यूनिट, राइट? तो मैं कोई ग्रीन डेटा सेंटर के पास जाता है, आपने एक पावर प्लांट खड़ा कर दिया, राइट? जो विंड मिल से चल रहा है या सोलार से चल रहा है, और मैं आपके साथ नेगोशिएट करूंगा, बोलूंगा ठीक है मेरे को 4 रुपया पे चाहिए, राइट? सो उसके बाद ग्रिड है, तो ग्रिड अगर गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए काम कर रहे हैं तो गवर्नमेंट वो पास थ्रू करने के लिए तैयार होता है। तो वेयर यू से दैट ग्रिड का कॉस्ट ऑलमोस्ट बाईपास या नेग्लिजिबल हो जाएगी और मैं डायरेक्टली पावर आपसे खरीद पाऊंगा। सो लाइक यू सेड कनेक्टेड इकोसिस्टम, वो एक चीज बन रही है। And as you mentioned, it's not a non-glamorous thing. Power is the most important thing, right? So whatever you are doing is not non-glamorous at all. So connected ecosystems is surely going to grow, power being one. और power में भी पहले कैसे थे, windmills used to generate very less power, right? So now we are talking about 6 megawatt windmills, right? One windmill giving 6 megawatts. So typically now if you have a farm of windmills, it can easily have a 30 megawatt, 40 megawatt capacity. Earlier you would need acres of land. अगर आप typically solar की देखो, so business prospect, धंधे की बात कर रहे हैं, right? Business prospect. अगर एक 10 megawatt का data center को solar की लगानी है, solar power से अगर मुझे आर्म करनी है, तो मुझे 30 से 40 एकड़ land चाहिए, right? तो 30 से 40 एकड़ लैंड में आपको ये इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी है। एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल जो बोलते हैं मेरे पास तो लैंड पड़ा हुआ है, राइट? आई कम फ्रॉम दिस बैकग्राउंड, एक्स बैकग्राउंड। सो ये अपॉर्चुनिटी विंडो है। सेकेंडली चिप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, अगर आप देखो बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आ रही है चिप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, राइट? Japan की देख लो, almost it's investing what, $1 trillion, $1 trillion on chip manufacturing in India. Similarly, a lot of research is happening in different parts of India as well. The IITs of the world are working on it. So ये एक connected ecosystem हो गया. Secondly, cooling systems के ऊपर काफी बात हो रहा है. Liquid और immerse cooling के अभी भी debate चल रही है, right? Because जब इतना heat generate होगा, वो heat obviously आप हवा से नहीं निकाल पाओगे, right? Because उसके connected science है. तो ऑब्वियसली आपको वाटर कूलिंग, लिक्विड कूलिंग, प्लम्बिंग सिस्टम्स इवॉल्व होंगे. तो जो पहले हमने सीरियसली नहीं लिया था, तो सिविल कंस्ट्रक्शन भी चेंज हो गई, राइट? सो कनेक्टेड इकोसिस्टम जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा, उसमें सारी चीज़ों में इन्वेस्टमेंट का बहुत स्कोप रहेगा और वो श्योरली डेटा सेंटर्स के साथ ग्रो होगी. दैट इज जस्ट समथिंग आई वांटेड टू ब्रिंग ऑन द टेबल. थैंक यू.
वन थिंग मैंने विवेक जी से सीखा है कि थोड़ा डायरेक्टली अच्छे से पूछ लेना चाहिए सिंपल लैंग्वेज में. तो एक वन क्वेश्चन दैट आई हैड इज दैट नाउ स्मार्ट ग्रिड infra is happening in a lot of products from what Valiant Communication is making in terms of protection equipment for digitalizing substations. So a lot of products, how India is ready, because a lot of make in India products are also not available in when they go for bidding, for example, in other industries also it has happened. So how India is ready in terms of building that ecosystem? Sometimes there are only just one players and there is no bidding happening by the other players, so the project gets delayed. So what kind of a development are we seeing on that side? Will that delay because of localization impact? Ayush, Sanjeev ji, Shrinivas ji and Gaurav, anyone of you?
मैं छोटा आंसर देता हूँ आपके सवाल का प्रिसाइज. अभी हम लोग अन्न वस्त्र निवारा यहीं पे पहुँचे हैं. स्मार्ट ग्रिड में जो टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए वो अभी हमारे पास नहीं है. हम लोग अभी कर्नाटक का पूरा स्टेट का स्काडा और स्मार्ट ग्रिड का काम कर रहे हैं. तो वो 30 करोड़ रुपए का सॉफ्टवेयर है. अमेरिका की एक ही कंपनी क्वालिफाई करती है, उनको ही दिया है. छोटा सा जीपीयू सर्वर 1 फुट बाय 1 फुट में वो 30 करोड़ का सॉफ्टवेयर लगाया. क्या लगाया मालूम नहीं, हमको 7 साल चलाना है उसको आगे. So we are into service integration and master system integrator. We are not reached to that level where basic softwares can be developed. That we have to think. That is, it's a long journey, but it is started. Because need is definitely there. जैसा इन्होंने बोला कि ग्रिड में प्रॉब्लम आता है तो प्रॉब्लम क्या होगा, आइलैंड्स कैसे क्रिएट करना चाहिए. तो ये बहुत सारा चीज़ है जो कभी कोई प्रॉब्लम आया, गैस आया तो गैस खत्म हो गया, पहले चूल्हे पे चलता था. फिर इलेक्ट्रिकल आया, इलेक्ट्रिकल बंद हो गया तो फ्रिज बंद होता है घर में, पेरिशेबल गुड से डालना पड़ता है. तो वैसे ही ये ग्रिड में अभी तक बहुत सारा डेवलपमेंट बाकी है. डसॉल सिस्टम है वो एनालिटिक्स करता है कि कौन से एरिया में कितने घंटे कितने पावर लगता है, वो उसके ऊपर है. अभी हम ग्रिड की बात कर रहे हैं, मैं ग्रिड के ऊपर एनालिटिक्स की बात कर रहा हूँ. तो एनालिटिक्स में अभी पहुंचे नहीं हम लोग कि एक एरिया है समझो ये सूरत का, तो यहाँ पे अभी इतने लोग बैठे तो इतनी पावर क्यों लगी, ये भी एनालिटिक्स डिटेक्ट करता है और वो लिखता है कि इसको बोलते हैं कंटेंजेंट पावर. तो ऐसा कोई फंक्शन है, शादी है या कोई पेंडॉल में काम है, वहाँ पे 1-2 मेगावाट पावर बढ़ गया सडनली ये एरिया में, तो क्यों बढ़ा. तो इसके लिए पूरा डिमांड साइड मैनेजमेंट का एक एनालिटिकल सॉफ्टवेयर होता है. तो ये बहुत सारा टेक्नोलॉजी अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत सारा अपने देश में है, जरूरत है, जिसको हम केवल लॉसेस भी कंट्रोल करेंगे तब भी हमें नया बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है. लेकिन उसके लिए अभी बहुत काम होना बाकी है. लोग क्या करते हैं, टॉप लाइन और बॉटम लाइन की बात करते हैं. अपने देश में कोई भी इनोवेशन की बात नहीं करता है, सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात नहीं करता है कि कुछ अच्छा करे अपने जेब से डाल के. ये अपने देश में अभी तक सोच आनी है. जब जिस दिन सोच आना शुरू हो जाएगी, जैसे कोविड आया था तो तब ऑक्सीजन कॉन्सेंट्रेटर नहीं था, आई वॉज पार्ट ऑफ दैट कमिटी. तो हमने स्पेशल फ्लाइट से सिंगापुर से सब कुछ मंगाया. लेकिन पूना में एक उसके बाद इमीडिएट मराठा चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स में एक बैठक हुई, उसमें बोला गया कि अगले 90 डेज में हमको करना है. तो एनसीएल सारे लैब्स देश में जितने लैब्स है सब ने वहाँ पे टाइम लगाया और 180 डेज में हमने कॉन्सेंट्रेटर बनाया. तो नाउ हम कॉन्सेंट्रेटर एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं. मतलब हमारे पास क्या है, जब तक क्राइसिस नहीं आता हम नींद से नहीं जगते.
Just to add to what Shrinivas ji said, right? I think 2 quick trends we're seeing in manufacturing of these items that are unavailable. One is you're going to see a lot of generative AI and agentic AI come into the manufacturing space, right? So India's going to have a lot of unskilled labor. So 2 types of industries that will really benefit. One is any company and there are quite a few in the listed space. There is any company that's into upskilling of labor. It's going to be both on the non-technical side, which is manufacturing labor, but even on the technical side, right? Labor that's coming out of traditional testing jobs, testing roles, even in agentic AI. So they're going to see a massive amount of upskilling that's going to happen across India. So there's going to be a huge demand for companies that can upskill labor very quickly. The second is bringing a lot of agentic AI into manufacturing. So companies that are focused around that will allow unskilled labor to manufacture very complex items because the AI will assist them, will kind of guide them through that process. So those are two interesting trends we're seeing that will help India cross that barrier.
Yeah, hi. So I think all of you should see one website called Nyay Prava. तो पीयूष गोयल जी ने ये वेबसाइट बनाया था न्याय प्रवाह. इट इज़ यू कुड टाइप इन, सब टाइप करेंगे तो एक साथ खुलेगा कि नहीं मालूम नहीं, लेकिन इट इज़ अ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया वेबसाइट विच गिव्स यू लाइव रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी स्टेट वाइज और कितना शॉर्टेज है और कितना शॉर्टेज नहीं है. इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग दैट यू शुड सी. दैट्स नंबर वन. वन अदर थिंग दैट आई वाज सेइंग कि स्किल के बारे में यू मेंशन सर, दैट स्किल इज अ रिक्वायरमेंट. Some other thing that came up, I wanted to just leave it, as food for thought. I mean, we have thought for food, but food for thought is with this recent H1B visa problem. A lot of skilling will be required even for GCC centers in India. So it's a very nice. You could see one company called Jules to Watt. Not that I or anybody in the stage is invested or anything, being clear. They're done very well. It started by a single woman. It's done very well. Jules to Watt. You could just type JULES Watt and see how well they have about 2,000-3,000 member team, etc. And they're growing very well. Now with this problem of this $1 million or $1 lakh of minimum fee that is required, a lot of people will be now stationed in India. And it is not going to be that AI is going to take up jobs immediately. There's going to be a transition phase. And then transition phase, what I see the opportunity, India is going to be the maximum skilled manpower for AI or any of the, augmented human workforce. And at that point of time, GCC investing could be a very great opportunity right now for maybe next 3-5 years time, please. Thank you.
I just want to add one point here. Like you mentioned that अभी हमारे पास स्मार्ट ग्रिड्स की डेफिशिएंसी है, पावर नहीं है. 80s और 90s में, 70s और 80s इनफैक्ट जब सुपर कंप्यूटिंग वाज एट इट्स पीक और इंडिया के पास सुपर कंप्यूटर्स नहीं थे, तो हमने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड कंप्यूटिंग के सॉर्ट से परम सीरीज करा किया. राइट. सो सिमिलरली दिस इज गोइंग टू हैपन नाउ, जहाँ पे और गवर्नमेंट भी अगर आप देखो वो ही फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी ला रही है. Like I gave you an example, right? We know that we don't have a 50 megawatt capacity in one place, right? But the grid is there, right? So similarly, so it is allowing you to go and source from wherever you want. Similarly, you know that there are certain pockets जहाँ पे आपको AI research चल रही है, यहाँ पे educated manpower ज़्यादा है, right? कुछ जगह है जहाँ पे आपको wind energy मिल रही है. So there कुछ एरिया है जहाँ पे कूलिंग ज़्यादा हो सकती है. तो नीड ऑफ द आवर वुड बी टू कनेक्ट ऑल दीज डॉट्स टुगेदर. तो हम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि एक कंपनी है जो बड़ा बन जाएगा, राइट? दैट विल हैपन. बट फॉर नाउ द ओनली वे वी विल बी एबल टू कॉम्पीट इज ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड एनवायरनमेंट को यूज करो, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड कंप्यूटिंग के फंडा को रियल लाइफ में लाके देयर वुड बी पॉकेट्स और उसमें बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज बिजनेस वाइज भी आएगी. दैट इज अ थॉट आई वुड वांट टू लीव. थैंक यू.
So I think we can conclude the session. So anyone from the audience have any questions, that they can just scan the QR on the table and we'll try to cover those questions here.
Thank you for joining us, and very interesting session, and how is India is shaping up in the field of AI, power, data storage, battery storage. You highlighted about the transmission losses, about the software part of it. So, and like legal things which are coming up कि 5.5 crore cases pending है, and 8 crore cases और आ जाएंगे, तो कहाँ पहुँचेगी इंडिया. So very interesting session. Thank you everybody to come here and joining us here. Thank you.
May I request Mr. Saket Agarwal, Mr. Vinay Ambedkar, and Mr. Abhishek Jain to please join us on stage and present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. We welcome you, sir.